Welcome to the Echo Essentials Podcast.
I'm Dave Dale.
And I'm Scott Clark. On today's episode, we talk about a few different things. First off,
A minor clarification.
We talk about minutes. Steve Drini chimed in with an email, so we address that. And we also find out about the scone bet. What are the top 5 pages on the City of North Bay website? But the big part of today's and why we're excited is Bill Parfitt.
Yes, having a veteran from World War II here, he's 99, is very special for us to be able to talk to him, and I know you're going to enjoy this one.
He's super special. It's all coming up, but first a word from our sponsor, the Laframboise team at Realty Executives Local Group Inc. Brokerage.
Hi, I'm Natasha Laframboise, sales representative with the Laframboise team at Realty Executives Local Group Inc. Brokerage. We are a local real estate team here in North Bay. Our team of sales representatives, Matt Laframboise, Phil Seguin, and Adam Legros, are ready to help you through the buying and selling experience. We have been providing service to the North Bay and area community for over 17 years. Our goal is to provide knowledge, support, and guidance in order to prepare your home for sale, bring it to market using multiple selling strategies, and get it sold. As a home buyer, we have 2 buyer's agents ready to help you find your home sweet home. If you'd like to know more, check us out on our website, laframboiseteam.ca. We are always happy to help.
Dave, I don't know, is it a retraction? What are we talking about here?
The one I was going to talk about?
Yeah.
Oh, no, a clarification.
A clarification.
Yeah.
I need to know from a journalism, a clarification.
Yeah. So
from our last podcast.
In our last podcast with Dave Mendocino, we had a lot of fun saying, well, maybe that investigation, even though it cost us $50,000, was money well spent because it led to money going back to the city, hundreds of $1,000s.
Right.
But the reality is that they severed the contract 2 months before, before the complaint was even lodged to the Integrity Commissioner about potential conflict in the Code of Conduct. It's splitting hairs because there was talk about that contract, and that's what probably led to them looking at the contract, which led to it being severed. So what led to one thing and what happened doesn't really matter. In the end, if the $50,000 had to be spent to save several hundred, that would have been worthwhile.
Gotcha.
We'll just leave it at that.
So one of the other things we talked about in that was about minutes, right? Mm-hmm. Steve Drini sent us an email, right?
Oh, cool.
Former, executive director at Tourism North Bay, and he's been involved in the tourism industry for a long time. And he's politically active too, right?
Oh yeah.
And he said, which I don't know if we touched on. He said, why aren't we using like AI programs that are all available now and stuff? And I'm just assuming why is because of just liability associated with that, right? It has to be a human being that actually does the minutes. And if you don't, like they haven't even, like councils, let me use an example. I'm involved with the Home and Garden Expo every year, right? And if there's any businesses that come out of town, there's still a hawker's fee attached to any business that comes into town. So they have to pay $75 to the city if they want to promote their business within the city. Mm-hmm. I actually went to the city and said, you've heard of the internet, right?
Yeah.
I think the hawker's fee is sort of like out of date.
Yeah.
I know why it was in the beginning put there because there's other business people pay business fees and taxes and you can't just have someone set up shop, right? Mm-hmm. But it's out of date. So to think that any municipality is up to date on AI, no way. No way can you introduce that.
No, I think the real issue is that the interpretation of the Municipal Act on minutes is they've taken the safe road. The less is more is better for them. It's better not to even try to make a summary of a meeting. It's just to say the meeting happened and this is the decision. That's the safest thing to do because every time people pick away at words, right? So it's just safe, but it's inconvenient for the public. It's just not right.
Right. And so that tied into, because you go online, or any of us can go online to the website in North Bay, and we said, what are the popular places? And we were saying, no way is, minutes in the top 5. And you're like, yes. you even said, well, after the broadcast, you're saying, well, maybe
Well,
at
inside
least
the
in the top
broadcast.
10.
Yeah. I got sucked in there.
Yeah.
I admitted
So we
that
had
I
a stone bet with Twigs, right?
Yeah.
So Gord Young provided me the top 5. So number 1, which shouldn't be actually counted, but number 1 is the landing page. So the first page, well, that of course would be any website,
course,
right?
yeah.
So you could sort of bump it around a bit. But the next is transit routes and schedules.
Right.
The after that is, what is that?
Your notes?
Yeah. Car
I thought that was bad.
Oh, careers is next. Careers, transit ride app, Bay Cams. Number 5 is Bay Cams and weather.
Yes, that's
really?
right. Yeah.
That actually really surprises me. Other popular ones, waste management, which I would have thought would have been in the top 5, right?
Yeah. I should have bet you like that. Reverse.
Festival and events, permits and license, all making sense, right? So that's really the top 5 right there. He said meetings and minutes didn't even make the top 25.
So it's only me?
It's only you and probably 2 other people. Yeah.
Stu and Jenny. And
Stu and Jenny, and that's it. So I've won the scone bet, so I can't wait to take up
What's
on
your favorite kind of scone?
You have to go, apple cinnamon right out of the gate.
Oh, right on.
I usually, what I do when I go to Twigs is I let them pick it.
Oh.
Because then they'll pick the best ones. And
so apple cinnamon it is.
Apple cinnamon it is. A little bit of butter, please. I like the butter on it.
I'll have it nicely warmed up.
Nice. So today we welcome, as we get closer to Remembrance Day, we have the honor of Bill Parfitt coming in. And we want to get to it because 99?
99, World War II tail gunner for the Lancasters, 24 sorties.
He also Parfitt potatoes that you get at the farmer's market. Yeah. That's the same family. His father really cleared land for the North Bay Airport to actually exist.
Bush Foreman.
A Bush Foreman. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but he led all. He
was the guy that got the job done.
All the bushwhackers out there. He looked after them, right? But this family has like a deep history. He talks about many different things.
I think he's a hoot.
And he's passionate about certain things too, right? Like he's, and it's absolutely worth the listen, and it's absolutely an honor that he came in and to join us here today. Yeah,
it was great to have him here. And of course, the first thing he told us was the coffee sucks.
I don't know if Ben's putting that in, but that was awesome. He would like a coffee, a little bit of honey. So we had the good honey, we had the good coffee, and he had a couple of sips, and he goes, "No thanks on the coffee.
You can have that.
You can have that." It's like I thought it was just my taste buds where I thought it sucked, but no, it seems Bill was honest, about our crappy coffee that Ben makes every day.
I'm not making coffee for you guys ever again.
Oh, here he goes.
Funny enough, I was told the coffee I have in my pantry is the same as the stuff that we have here, and I was told that it was the worst of the worst. So
why aren't we getting better coffee then?
There we go. I think that's an executive decision.
All right.
Yeah.
I will make that decision. But let's use up the coffee we have first.
Oh, for sure.
To move before we move to
I'm drinking it, Bill.
So introduce Bill for us.
Well, this is an honor for us and you to be able to get a little bit of insight and hear firsthand a 99-year-old gentleman who's a World War II veteran, who's been through a lot, who's been a farmer. He's a staple in the Whitfield community. He's done a lot for everybody around here, and he's still advocating for the right things that he feels like. He's still passionate about his stuff. So we're very happy to have Bill Parfitt here, World War II veteran, before Remembrance Day.
Just before we meet Bill, it was 1968, Voyageur Aviation up at the base was formed, and it's hard to believe that, Bill's pretty well retired by the time Voyageur Aviation actually started, because we look at it, wow, that was a long time ago. But But Voyageur Aviation is a proud member of this community for many, many different years. And they provide worldwide aviation services, and their headquarters are right here in the Bay. So the other good thing about it is aviation is growing, and so is Voyageur. So if you're looking for a challenge, you want to change it up a little bit, you want to expand your career in aviation, Voyageur Aviation is looking for you, be it aircraft maintenance, corporate administration, machinists, supply chain professionals. They have an array of job opportunities and career advancements. Contact Voyageur Aviation to find out more information about how you can get involved. It's simply voyav.com, and you can get potentially a new career in aviation today.
We have Remembrance Day coming up. What's this time of year make you feel?
Well, the thing about Remembrance Day is that I have a war going on with people that don't vote.
So Remembrance Day makes you feel that you have a democratic duty to vote?
Well, that in Australia, they have it figured out. In Australia, if they don't vote, you're fined.
Right. Huh. It's mandatory. Right.
It's mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
I just told, and so people that don't vote, I kick them off my property.
Do you think back about your service in the World War II at all? We have your logbook of all your missions here.
I just think I was born lucky. And, of course, because my father had been in the First War, I had very strong feelings about democracy. I still watching Trump, or whatever his name, to get his nose rubbed in the dirt over there in the United States.
Yeah, by the time this one comes out, it'll be after the election next Tuesday in America.
Yeah.
And so you're not a Trump supporter? Is that what you're saying?
No way, ever.
How come?
Never. Because he's a son of a bitch. He's a dog.
There you go.
I got no time for him at all.
I think we agree. We agree.
Okay.
So you had 22 flying missions.
I guess, 22 where it was hot.
Mm-hmm.
I flew 24. We flew 2 trips. And we flew the last trip, we flew in over Holland with the bomb base full of food and flew in over the park and opened the bomb bays and dropped food into Holland.
Wow.
And the other one was at that time, there still is, but there was a band of soldiers in India that were really, I forget their names, but they were really tough fighters. And whenever they went out on a trip, they never put their knife back into their belt until they cut fresh blood on their hand, if they hadn't killed anybody.
I think that was the Punjabi Sikhs. Yeah. Well-known fighters. Good.
And so they had, the war had ended, and they didn't want the war was supposed to be over, but they were afraid they'd get loose and go and kill some more Germans.
Mm.
And so they loaded them up and we made 2 trips with the Lancaster, then loaded it in the fuselage and flew them into England to get them away from the Germans.
Oh, no kidding.
That's what we did.
Oh.
2 trips. Nobody shooting us, of course.
They mentioned the one of your long missions was the Dresden one.
Yes.
That was very famous for large amount of people dying in fires.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote a letter to the big shot in Russia, what's his name?
Oh, at the time.
At the time or currently, Putin?
No, just when this all started.
Oh, okay.
I wrote him a registered letter to the embassy in Ottawa, and I sent a copy of it to the people he was fighting, and I told them, I said to him, because he has a nice cottage on an estate on one of the lakes there, and I wrote him a letter and I said, for Christ's sake, quit fighting the war, go and relax and enjoy yourself.
At the cottage.
Yes. See? And then I sent a copy of it to the other people. Registered mail to the... I actually got a copy. I wrote a second letter to the head of the people that he's fighting against now. Mm. And I got a copy back.
From the Ukrainians?
The Ukrainian copy back.
I'm sure they appreciated your support.
Well, I just thought they needed it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's the war. That's all about the evolution of man. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
It's a 2-hour DVD.
Yeah.
The first one I saw, at that time you had to buy them. They were a 2-hour DVD, The Journey of Man. And
what's the main message in that movie, that documentary?
It tells you about the evolution of man from Africa.
Right.
It traces, it's the DNA.
What should that mean to us?
It should mean to have respect for all other races.
Right. Because
that's where it's 2 million years ago that we got out of a tree. Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe, but we lived in trees.
So we're all the same once, and then we became different, and so we should treat each other.
And they had to learn how to run. They only had short legs then, and they lived in trees. But when the food ran out in the trees.
Yeah.
The fruit was all gone. They had to start to forage on the ground.
Do you think we should be doing more farming?
I think you just farm for what crop you need.
Mm-hmm. Why do you grow? You were big on turnips and potatoes, but you had cows at one time too, eh?
Oh yeah. Well, it's standard to have cattle, or a herd, Mm-hmm. But then, of course, then you found out you grew what you could sell.
Right.
And you found out you could sell. My mother actually, one of the first women that waxed turnips on the kitchen stove. My wife waxed a few turnips. Then, of course, we got turnip waxers, and we turniped. One year we had 5,000 bushel of turnips. Another year we had 20,000 bags of potatoes.
Well, it's good that we have local farmers like that.
Of course, that's the way it was. There was a market. I was close to North Bay, close enough that I could. My father used to cut wood. When I was old enough to swing an axe, I was helping cut wood, and he'd haul it into North Bay with a team of horses, and got so much a cord, about $2 a cord. Can you imagine for a double cord?
Wow.
And it's 150 now.
Yeah. Well, of course, that's evolution.
Yeah.
See? No, that's.
Is there anything in your life you would have changed? You're 99 now, and you're about to turn 100. Is there anything you would have done different if you had a chance?
I don't think so. I was always very happy with my life. I had a good wife, and I had a good bunch of kids. They all worked. They all learned how to work. They all got degrees. Mm-hmm. except the one handicapped son.
And he's a hard worker on the farm?
Oh, yeah, well, he works, but he's handicapped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's quite heavily. He gets a little pension. First,
You feel blessed?
oh, well, yes. I guess so. Well, how could you feel anything else? Just born lucky. Yeah.
You said that in a video we were watching about you and your past, and I found it really interesting, like how many sorties you ran, how many flights, and then how many people didn't come back.
About 50%.
50%. What was that?
On one flight, the Germans started moving farther inland to get away from Britain, so that you had to fly a longer way to bomb them. On one flight there were 63 Lancasters shot down.
Wow.
Yeah, just to give you an idea.
So before you went on a sortie, before you headed out, what did you say to one another and other crews before you left, knowing that many weren't coming back?
You never said a thing. You never talked about it any more than you would. You know, I had friends that I used to swim with in 4 Mile Lake, my age, guys my age. And there were 2 of them that were quite close friends. They joined the Army, the local regiment. They never came back. They were killed in France towards the end of the war, both of them. And, of course, many others.
Who are your friends' names?
Carmichaels.
Carmichaels?
They were Carmichael.
Is that the famous Carmichael Drive Carmichaels?
Yes.
Yeah.
One was a Carmichael. The other was, I forgot his name, but the Carmichael name is easy to remember because it's all over the place there.
You were involved in trying to get a cenotaph to honor the people who fought in the wars. Did that happen? I remember you were trying to get something up in Whitfield.
No, yeah, we wanted the beach. That's where we used to swim. I used to walk a mile to go for a swim, and I swam with these guys. Didn't come back because they joined the wrong force, just by chance, of course.
So you wanted to do a dedication of some sort at the beach?
Yeah, well, we've got it sort of half-passed, but they haven't followed up on it yet.
Oh.
And we also wanted to do Otter Lake because it's the closest swimming hole to the people that live in Froney and Redbridge and that area. Around North Bay, the closest swimming hole is where there's a half-decent beach is on 4 Mile Lake. And it's been more or less approved, but they haven't moved ahead with it. My son even volunteered to do some contract work where they have to have, if you're going to have a beach, a public beach, you have to have bathrooms. You got to have a bathroom. The one on Trout Lake, which is way down on the lake where people don't get to, if you live there, it's fine. But it's quite a ways in, whereas the one in Fronia and Redbridge and that is all close to Otter Lake. And so I we took up a petition. My wife and I used to collect for the Cancer Society, and we took up a petition to put both of those places on as public beaches.
Yeah. So what he's
and my commitment right now is that my son volunteered to do some work, but they have to have a site to have a building for a change room, and they have to have a place to park your car. There's the guy that owned the 160 acres on the Springdale. He was an air gunner. He's dead now in the war. He left a strip of property there down to the lake and he left it to the city for a park. He left it for a park. It hasn't been developed. All of the private land lots been built up, but there's still. He left a strip of land, and he left a building, and it was the building that we used to have for public meetings, and we built it. We built it, and then they closed it. It's still there. It's closed, but it still belongs to the city. And the strip of land, an acre wide that goes down to the beach, is still there. But it's never been cleaned up.
Yeah, there's no sign, there's no park.
No sign, nothing.
The city owns it.
And
it's dedicated as park.
so I'm going to go again, if I can live long enough, and raise hell with them and say, this land was given to you by a man, and you should know about this. You guys should know about this. This land was given to you by an air gunner that served in the war, and you still haven't got it marked out. You haven't used it yet, but it's still there.
Wadelfield's getting the short end of the stick again.
Well, no, the veterans.
The veterans.
Are getting
right.
The short end of the stick. And the one at Weatherfield at Otter Lake, there actually is a road goes from Feronia up to Otter Lake. That's where the bathrooms and the toilets need to be, and the road is open. It's maintained, but they have never really designated it yet. The city of North Bay.
Well, we'll see what we can do in supporting you.
Well, I'll get. I've been after. I took petitions up. I gave them to the legions. Mm-hmm. They have it. They have those petitions, and the petitions are all about what I'm talking about.
Well, you've said in this interview, and
my wife and I used to collect for the Fencer Society between Carmichael's Corners and Feronia every year, and we have those copies of those petitions.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've said so much is luck, so much is timing in life. This might be the time.
Yes.
And the luck might all come together now.
Well, it's about time it did.
North Bay Echo is proud to partner with Twigg's Coffee Roasters, a part of the community since 1995. Twigg's offers a wide selection of quality beans, fresh roasted in-house every day. Find your favorite specialty drinks at our espresso bar. Rejuvenate with freshly squeezed juice, or treat yourself to mouth-watering selections from our gourmet deli. And don't forget our irresistible fresh baked goods, including uncompromising gluten-free options. Twiggs has 5 locations to serve you, from North Bay to Sturgeon Falls to Sudbury. Order online for pickup at twigs.ca. And coming soon, you'll be able to order fresh roasted coffee beans direct to your doorstep from our distribution center in North Bay.
Tell me about luck as a tail gunner. I would think tail gunners are probably one of the...
We had a mid-upper gunner. In fact, we had a mid-upper gunner. He flew a couple trips with us, and then he somehow got shifted to another squadron, and he got shot down over France, but he managed to get down with a chute, and he called us back afterwards. We got word that he'd survived because he was then ghosted out of France back to England. And there was an interesting story. He said when he came down near a farmhouse in the country, you see. And when he went to the door, there was a woman came there, and she recognized him from his uniform. She knew he was a bailed-out flyer. And he said he took her in the house, and her husband was way off fighting the war, or maybe dead, and took him to bed.
Well, congratulations to him. He landed in the right place.
Yeah, he landed in the right place.
And that's what luck is, right?
Yeah.
Well, luck and war.
Luck in war.
Here's a lucky guy right there. Yeah.
Wait, our fly. You know what's interesting is when you joined the Air Force. So this year, the Air Force celebrates 100 years, same age as you.
Yeah.
So when you got in the Air Force, it was kind of new. The Air Force was new compared to the Army or the Algonquin
I used to make
Regiment.
model airplanes, and I just wanted to fly. And that's why I joined the Air Force.
But it was super dangerous.
You don't think about that. It's adventure. It is adventure.
Were flyers superstitious? Was there certain things that you would never do? Like you always had to wear this or you always had to do that?
Never.
No superstition.
No
Never.
rabbit foots for you, eh?
Never.
Yeah.
Never entered my mind.
Is there a memory that you have like of joy, or because we talk a lot about the tragedy and things of war, but was there moments of this real powerful camaraderie and the crew that you flew with and the friendships that you made? Do you have memories of that?
Well, yes. I mean, that's just inevitable in any battles of conflict for the journey of man. You'd have the same connections. It's just if you're fighting a war together or scrap, but that's why one of the things that's wrong in the educational system is they don't teach people about the journey of man. Because right now we got black or black people and yellow people and white people who belong to different religions, all trying to kill one another. It's all about religion. I don't believe in religion. The guy that invented, that actually helped to develop the atom bomb, what was his name?
Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer.
Einstein, Oppenheimer?
And Einstein. And then there was the guy that came up with a story that people developed out of tree Indians.
Darwin.
That's right.
Oh.
That's hard, cold fact. But we got all this religion around us.
I think I agree with you on this too.
I never. The only time I went to church is once when I was a little boy, and my mother was a good Christian school teacher. So we went to church a couple of times. We had to walk 2 miles to go to church, and whenever I could get away and go fishing or something, I just never went, you see. But she never bothered me about it. And that's the way I grew up. But I did go to church and listen to a preacher a couple of times. But it never made any sense to me as an 8-year-old. And it's never made any sense since.
In flying 22, 24 sorties, was there any of them that really stuck out in your mind? That
just there was one particular one. One time I had to, if they were short a gunner got sick or something, you have to go as a spare gunner, or maybe a spare other crewman, you see. And so I went with this one strange crew. And when we got, it was towards the end of the war, and we were going across the lines where the fighting was going on to hit our target. And we'd gone over it. When you went across, there was that's when they were firing all the little bombs and things. They were shooting out of the sky. And so there was all kinds of firepower and fighting going on along the and we flew over this after dark. And so we got to the target, and it was the usual place, and you knew where it was because the flak bursts were there. Those Germans could put that goddamn shell within 100 feet of where your elevation was. Wow! And if they got within 100 feet, they were probably going to get hit with some shrapnel. And if you're lucky, you didn't. We only got tagged a couple of times. A little one piece went through the fuselage by the navigator's table, and another one similar thing, and anyhow that we got to the target, and this guy that was flying the Lank, the pilot, we headed in to where they were bombing from, and went through, and the flak was flying around us, set at the ground level to explode. Now, the technology, those Germans were smart. And, of course, other people probably had the same kind of train. Anyhow, he got through, and the bombs went out, and he rolled that plane over, and he said, "We're getting out of here." And we drove 8,000 feet. We were down just crossing over these lines. We didn't go near the lines because there was flak all over, around right over the trenches where they were fighting. We got clear of it, and he just shoved the nose on. We headed for England.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds like a close call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get hit,
Mm-hmm.
so we were the lucky ones.
Bill, I had the opportunity years ago to go to Nijmegen.
Yeah.
And so I went to the Nijmegen March, and I was able to go with the Canadian military.
Yeah.
And when you talked about education earlier on and what we learn in school and things now, one of my big takeaways when I was there is young people today, even in Holland, they know what the Canadians did when, the Canadians were in support of, freeing the Dutch from the Germans' grasp.
Yeah.
And they remember very clearly in their schooling how the Canadians were important to their sovereignty today.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see, the Dutch were always pretty hard-headed people. Eh? If you know anything about history, I was a pretty good student in school, and I knew quite a bit about history. And I knew that when the Catholic Church, which was very powerful then, sent a fleet to to attack Britain and into the Thames, the Dutch king at that time sent the Dutch fleet to stand in front of them. And the Italians at that time, or the Romans, they decided to go home. And I know this about the Dutch. The Dutch have always been pretty hard-headed, and they're still hard-headed. Mm-hmm. They don't believe in bullshit. And I get into trouble, of course. My wife goes to church, but the only reason I went there for a while was to have historical discussions. But then people were too religious, and I didn't want to hurt their feelings, so I don't bother them anymore.
So as a tail gunner, you had to protect the plane from other planes trying to shoot you down. Did you shoot any planes down?
No, never saw one.
Never saw one. So you're just there for the ride.
I was born lucky.
Yeah, lucky for you. Good for you. Good for you.
Because, lots of them, half of them got shot. Well, I told you half of them got shot down on one trip deep into Lancasters, 63 Lancasters. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the Americans lost an awful lot of bombers. One trip, they lost 90 ports. Deep penetration.
Yeah.
And
were Canadians good flyers?
Well, they had to be good flyers. Anybody that was flying, they were all good flyers. I guess there might have been one that wasn't good, but I never knew one. Mm-hmm. I mean, after all, you weren't watching what the other guy was doing.
So in the family farm up on Airport Hill here, you said your dad or
my father. At that time, they were just opening in '83. They started opening up the farmland here. They were running out of farmland in southern Ontario.
So, sorry, 1883.
And in Quebec and generations were pouring in. And so when he came here, they were just 160-acre lots. And Whitfield was still a township then. And Whitfield took in 4 townships. He had to get a survey one time, and he had to pay for 4 townships, four lots to be surveyed, because they were all hooked together.
Yeah.
And the corner posts are still, I can pretty well still find them on the farm.
The original.
Because there were a lot of new settlers in there, and it was like the Roaring West.
Yeah.
They came in and they moved on a chunk of land and took it over. And then they figured it was theirs. And the way they kept it was with a 6-gun. The same as they did in the prairies, in the American prairies.
Yeah.
The guy with the quickest gun in that kept the land.
Did you get along with Don King? Because Don King was a reeve of Whitfield for a long time.
Oh, well, I never ever had any trouble with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in government. Of course, I was in the school board, don't forget, for 6 years on school board.
Yeah.
And the only part about that is I got good money, and it helped me to farm, but I never really understood things as well as I did later, you know.
as you got more educated and
I got to know more about politics.
yeah. But your farm probably, because this was a training base for so long for the Air Force, your farm would have been busy with airplanes flying in and out,
Oh, yes.
right? Was that one of the things is like, I want to be involved in that? And
No, that was after the war.
oh, it was after the war.
Oh, yeah, that was after the war.
Did it bother you, like after being in the
my
war?
father, actually, I didn't finish that story. He was the bush foreman for all of those lots, Redbridge, Songus, all that area there. He was the bush foreman there for about probably 7 or 8 years when they were clearing that. But when that was over, he then, because he was known by everyone as the bush foreman, he was a tough little man, quite capable, I guess, and he knew how to cut timber and bring in green people and teach them how to log. And they made him when the war started, this was when the war started, he was the guy they hired to be the bush foreman for clearing North Bay Airport. He was the bush foreman on North Bay Airport. I never knew this till just about a year ago. Because when I was 12 years old, or 13 years old, he came home late one day, and they brought him home. And when he came in the house, he never spoke to me, never spoke to his wife, never spoke to anybody, and he was going around feeling the wall.
Do you feel that was from his military experience or just the hard live and the hard work that he had to do?
He walked 2 miles to get to the airport, and the snow was this deep. He didn't have a car, and he was late coming home, and a vehicle drove in the yard, and of course it was a police car, a good big police car with big wheels to get through the snow. And they brought him to the door, and then he walked around and rubbed the walls, and then they took him away. They took him. The only way to get to a mental home then was on the railroad. The railroad was open. They put him on the railroad, and he went to 999 Queen Street. He never came out. When he came out of there, they moved him up on number 11 North, on the farm. They used to take mentally broken people to a farm because they could keep an eye on them then, and they would probably stay there. And he stayed there on the farm until he died. He died. He went there in 1939. Actually went down one to rejoin the forces, and they said, "Oh, go on." This was, before he got sick, and if we need you, we'll get you. And he just died when he was 51. He was in the air for 12 years in the mental hospital. Never came out of it. And that's why now when they use shock treatment, that they can. But he was just one of those people. And in our family and our children, they all seem to have kept their head.
Well, we're about to wrap up our conversation. We really enjoyed being able to talk to you. We'd like to. This is coming out the Thursday before Remembrance Day. Just another message to the people, what they should be thinking about when Remembrance Day comes along.
Thinking about voting.
Yeah, it's still the same message. Okay, good.
Bill, thank you for your service.
Oh,
Thank you for your great potatoes.
very lucky. I'm one of the lucky ones. Yeah.
One of my big takeaways from this interview was that generation, Dave, even though we attempted to try and, understand some of the pain of what, him speaking with his father, they don't dive deep like different generations, right? That greatest generation, It was just like really difficult. And, his dad never came back, and it was super, super powerful. It was, we're so lucky that he came and joined us here today. So thank you to Bill Parfitt and joining us on the Echo Essentials podcast. I'm Scott Clark.
And I'm Dave Dale.
Make sure you like and review us, and it really supports what we do and support our sponsors as well. Thanks so much.
May we all be as lucky as Bill Parfitt.
It's all about luck.
This weekend, make your way to Casey's Restaurant in North Bay for an unforgettable get-together. Dive into our delicious appetizers and enjoy the best drafts in town. It's the perfect spot to unwind, catch up with friends, and savor great flavors. Don't miss out on the fun. Join us at Casey's for a weekend filled with good food, great drinks, and even better company.